Hey everybody, I've come here to my home worship and writing desk for this week's video because of something I said in worship about our theme. The theme this week, of course, was emptiness, and it struck me that most of us don't have a lot of experience moving from the emptiness that is terrifying to the emptiness that is filled with the presence of God. And so in a minute I wanted to share with you, as I did in worship yesterday, some of the things that I do personally to get to that place. As we said yesterday, there are at least two kinds of emptiness. The first kind or state is terrifying to us. It's when we turn off all the noise of our lives, and instead of being surrounded by something peaceful, we are surrounded by voices that terrify us. Voices in our head, old tapes of our parents. LGBTQ people have very specific tapes that they tell themselves that have been given to them by society or unfortunately by the church. Women have specific tapes. Men have specific tapes that they roll over and over in their head, and they make us want to avoid emptiness. I used in worship the metaphor again of our digital devices, that our digital devices are the perfect metaphor for how we are driven to distraction today. We will do anything to fill our minds so that we don't have to think deeply. One of my favorite podcasts today is called Note to Self with Manoush Zomorodi. And one of the great quotes she says about us and our technology is this. She says, "What if smartphone cameras and social media are simply perpetuating and exacerbating an existing human instinct that's been around since the beginning? What if our fear of death, or for some, the fear of living an unfulfilled life, is at the core of all this picture taking?" And I would say Facebook checking, guilty as charged. But the truth is, it's not just our social media. It's not the devices that have caused us to be this way. It's that we were already hardwired this way, to be distracted from the things that really matter. We wake up in the morning and immediately look at our phones and turn on our television. There is almost no place we can go where there is silence. So I wanted to today share with you some of the things I do here. To be very clear, this is just one way. You don't have to do it this way. This may not even work for you at all, but maybe it'll get the juices going in your mind for how you can create empty times, empty places where God can come and fill it up. First, I do most of my writing here at this desk and most of my praying here at this desk. So I light candles, I burn some incense, and those sort of are calls to me to be centered and to be aware of God's presence in the moment. But as I've already admitted to you, it is very, very easy to get distracted. So there are some things you can do to try to reduce those voices or at least walk through them. One for me is journaling. I try to journal quite a lot. I don't do it as much as I wish I did, but I try to journal. And Julia Cameron, in her great book, The Artist's Way, talks about morning pages and talks about just free-form writing 3 pages a day. And there does seem to be something almost magical about that at least 3 pages a day. I go weeks and months sometimes failing to do this, just like I go weeks and months failing to exercise sometimes. Writing out on the page, there is something about that I can write them on the page and somehow they don't have as much power. So if that doesn't work, I see my therapist. And for the issues that I can't just write out by myself, I talk to my therapist about that, and it's pretty important. And so find somebody you can talk to, a friend, an accountability group, a therapist, somebody beyond yourself that you can talk to about your greatest and deepest fears, those that are blocking you. I have a very specific kind of prayer that I pray. And it's the image I have about it is that I'm giving back to God whatever the problem is. I say to God, and I image myself using my hands even, and looking at my hands and saying to God, God, I can't fix this. A problem in my family, a problem in the church, something I'm worried about in the church, something I'm worried about in the world. And so, God, I'm giving it back to you. I'm not even assuming you're going to fix it. I'm not even sure it's fixable. I'm at the place of surrender. My only move is to give it back to you. These are often very painful prayers, and prayers of great tears sometimes. But I find there's an incredible release in that, of giving back to God whatever the thing is that is churning in my head. So those things: journaling, talking to a friend, a therapist, praying prayers where you give things back to God, you give it back to God. And I find that those moves help me move through the dark wood of emptiness. And then that allows me finally to get to the different emptiness, the emptiness that is filled with the presence of God. So I use an app on my phone, believe it or not. Here you go. It's called Insight Timer. And so you set it up and you turn it on, and it'll ring a bell at a certain point, and then you just lay it aside. You put it aside, you don't look at it. And the way I move myself into silence, many people use like a mantra or a prayer, the Jesus prayer some people use. I have, for the last several years, used a very short phrase that I got from Jim Finley. I'm going to show you how it works right here. You sit very quietly in your chair, and you repeat this phrase slowly, breathing in and out in between. Be still and know I am God. Be still and know I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. And usually by the time I get to be, I am in a very quiet place. A final important point about this is that we have to do it regularly for it to really affect our lives. It's like exercise. Exercise is really tough on the first day. The first day you go to the gym or ride your bike or go for a walk, you're very sore the next day and you think, this isn't worth it. The first month you're done exercising, you start to say, this is making a difference. And 6 months in, it's just such a part of your life you can't live without it. It's the same thing with eating well. It's the same thing with making time for friends or any other good self-love habit. We have to make time for it, and we have to do it regularly, not just once or twice, and unfortunately, not just when we're in a time of deep despair. That may be a good time to start when we're in a time of struggle, but keep it going. Keep it going every day because it makes a difference. Eric Elnes says it this way: at our place of greatest despair over ourselves and our abilities, we discover a presence who loves us beyond our imagining, who chooses relationship over perfection. Life is not over. It has just begun. An unexpected love meets us there, and we discover that the only thing we have truly lost at the center of our inner black hole is our fear. We lose our fear and we gain relationship with the one who stands in the midst of the deepest emptiness, the one who walks with us through the dark wood. See you Sunday.